This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Chapter 3 of Prompt Engineering, Get 10x More from AI, the Power of Few-Shot Learning. In this chapter, you'll learn: define few-shot learning and its advantages. Let's dive in! An AI model can often match its fully trained performance after hearing just a handful of examples. In one benchmark, going from dozens of examples down to only 4 barely changed the score. So here's the puzzle. How is the model learning so much from so little? Few-shot learning is where prompt engineering quietly turns into a superpower. When you only have 3 to 10 examples, every detail in those examples starts to matter. Which edge cases you include, how you phrase instructions, even the order you present them in. Change that order, and the model's accuracy can swing by 10 percentage points, like rearranging instruments in an orchestra and suddenly getting a cleaner sound without changing the notes. This also shifts how you think about data. Instead of, how do I collect thousands of labels, the question becomes, what are the most informative 5 examples I can show? That's why few-shot techniques are exploding in expensive, data-scarce fields: law, medicine, niche enterprise workflows. In this episode, we'll zoom in on how to choose those demonstrations, structure them, and test them so your model picks up the right pattern from just a few carefully crafted shots. So where do those perfect 5 examples actually come from? In practice, they rarely drop out of a spreadsheet fully formed. You usually start with messy, real-world inputs, half-baked labels, and conflicting expectations from stakeholders. The craft is in distilling that chaos into a tiny set that encodes your standards, ideal answers, borderline cases, and the kind of mistakes you absolutely refuse to tolerate. Think of it like curating a small gallery show from a warehouse of sketches. What you hang on the wall quietly tells the model what good really means. Here's the twist most people miss. In few-shot setups, the examples themselves become a kind of lightweight program. You're not just showing the model data, you're specifying behavior through tiny, concrete patterns. 3 levers matter a lot more than they first appear. 1. Scope of the pattern. Each shot should encode one clean rule or nuance. If a single example tries to demonstrate tone, formatting, edge case handling, and domain knowledge all at once, the pattern turns blurry. It's far better to have several crisp shots, each doing one job well, than a Frankenstein example that does 5 jobs badly. 2. Coverage of the space. Think in terms of regions of your problem. Typical, boring cases. Tricky, borderline inputs. Rare but costly errors. A good few-shot set touches each region at least once. For a contract review workflow, that might mean 1 straightforward NDA, 1 clause with ambiguous wording, 1 clearly unacceptable term you always reject, 1 document with missing sections, and 1 that looks almost fine but violates a subtle policy. 3. Resolution of standards. Many failures come from being too vague about what good is. Instead of only including ideal answers, deliberately include a before-after pair, the kind of draft a junior teammate might write, followed by the corrected, gold standard version. The contrast sharpens the model's sense of quality. This is where you start to see few-shot prompting as design work, not just scripting. You're encoding taste, risk tolerance, and workflow norms in a tiny, curated set. Teams that treat those shots as disposable examples usually plateau early. Teams that iterate on them the way product designers iterate on UX flows often unlock surprising jumps in performance. Real deployments also benefit from versioning these tiny behavior specs. Successful teams keep a living library of few-shot templates for different use cases, reviewed, commented, and A/B tested, rather than constantly improvising new examples from scratch. Over time, That library becomes an asset as real as any labeled dataset, just far leaner and cheaper to maintain. Think of your tiny example set less as training data and more as a playbook your future prompts will keep consulting. A litigation team, for instance, might build one playbook just for spotting jurisdiction issues, another for damages calculations, each with 3 to 7 carefully chosen instances. Swap one example, and you subtly rewrite the rules. Concrete patterns work best when they're grounded in real stakes. A customer support team can insert one example where a partial refund is allowed and another where it's forbidden, annotated with short notes like policy exception, long-term customer. Over time, these micro-policies become reusable modules you can plug into new prompts. In medicine, a radiology group could maintain a few-shot vault of de-identified findings templates, normal, clearly abnormal, and follow-up recommended. Each hospital service line, ER, oncology, outpatient, gets its own set, tuned to its risk profile, but all drawing from the same vetted vault, so standards stay aligned as prompts evolve. Regulation, culture, and tooling will have to catch up. Compliance teams may demand auditable prompt logs showing which tiny sets shaped a decision, much like labs track reagent batches. Product teams could ship UIs where non-technical experts directly edit example sets, treating them as knobs for risk, tone, and strictness. Over time, a company's library of refined, domain-specific prompts may rival its codebase as a core strategic asset. Conclusion. As models shrink the gap between toy prompt and production system, your few-shot set becomes a living hypothesis about how work should be done. Treat it like a sketchbook. Rough in new edge cases, erase outdated moves, add margin notes. Over time, those tiny edits compound into a durable, testable layer of institutional judgment. Start with this tiny habit. When you open a new document, sticky note, or notes app for work, type exactly 2 example prompts that clearly show what good looks like for the task you're about to do. For example, summarize this email in 1 sentence for a busy VP, or rewrite this paragraph in a friendlier tone for a new customer. Then, when you next ask your AI tool for help, paste those 2 examples above your actual request as your few-shot guide. Do this just once per day with something you're already working on, like an email, a report, or a Slack message, so you slowly build a personal library of concrete examples your AI can learn from. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!